Okay, Jamil, over to you.
Yep. Today, Vidya is a well-known procurement and supply chain consultant based out of Dubai. She does international podcasts on supply chain and procurement. Today, she will be talking on freight, how to find freight clients while spending less on marketing. This is all the time a challenge for freight forwarders. How much to spend on marketing? How do we get new clients? Do we get as referrals? Do we go in cold calls? So Vidya is going to show you her way out. Yeah, she's going to help you, show you how to find new clients while not spending a lot. Vidya, to you, up to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jamil. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vidya Malkani. Like Mr. Jamil said, I'm based out of UAE with 20 years of experience in procurement and supply chain. And I've been running my own business as consultant for last 3 years. And I talk a lot about entrepreneur journey, talk to a lot of different clients and help them understand how can procurement and supply chain impact their top line and bottom line both. So on that note, we'll get started with today's topic, which is how can you win more clients and spend less on marketing. So we'll talk about how do you go beyond rate, because with all the experience I have in the industry, talking to a lot of suppliers, freight forwarders, and clients, what I hear typically everybody talking only about rate. How much is it going to cost me to buy your service? So how can we go beyond that to win longer lasting relationship with our clients and get the business rather than just spending the money? So before we get started, I'd like you all to join our Slido poll today. If you can scan this QR and we can get started with our first set of questions. Okay, let's go to our first poll question. I would love to understand from everyone what happens most often in your markets. So when you reach out to your clients, typically do the clients only ask you for the best rate, or they do not understand your service value? They disappear after receiving the quotation, they compare us with larger players, or they expect fast response and low price. Which of these scenarios do you most commonly face with your clients? So I see a lot of you saying that they expect you to respond quickly and give you low prices. So how do you tackle this when your clients say quick response, I want the quotation yesterday, and I want the best and the cheapest price? What happens is, in such a scenario, we lose out on the conversation around the value proposition. What can we do beyond the price? So let's talk about the price game. Yeah. Typically, you will hear from a client saying, please send your best rate today. And most of you would normally give the best price that you have. Typical responses, we will send our responses quickly. We will wait for the client after that for them to come back to us. And we'll only compete with other players on price alone. What if we could change this? If we could shift this conversation from price to what is the problem that they're trying to solve, right? If we go back, when a client comes to us and says, please send your best rate today. If we went back and our response was, I'm happy to provide you a proposal, but before I send the rate, can you please confirm to me what matters the most for this particular freight movement? Are you looking for the lowest price? Are you looking for fastest transit time, lower risk, or strongest visibility that I need to see that my items get from destination A to destination B? This helps you understand what is most important to your client. What will they look at? Because typically when we ask for your quotation today, we might not necessarily always look at the price first. So you might have given the cheapest pricing, but that might not be what they were looking for. There could be other combinations. So ask what is most important so your proposal can clearly provide the response that they're looking for, right? You need to clarify. If it's speed, price cannot be the winning bid. If it's cost, then can you give them a longer route which can drive your cost down? What combination can work the best? And then, are you quoting for the right solution, right? Quote for addressing the problem rather than just focusing on the price. So this way you can shift when you ask the questions to your client, you can clarify and you can make sure that you have actually addressed all of their problem statements rather than just saying, this is my best price. this would give you a better conversation with your clients. Moving forward, so a quote framework when you're submitting, there are 4 typical questions that you should ask before drafting the proposal and sending it out. First, what is the reason? Why is this being moved now? Why has this requirement for shipment come now? What is the need? And then from reason, you move on to risk. What could go wrong if this moves badly? And you can ask these questions to your clients to make sure you understand, have they had bad experience in the past? Is there a typical problem that you can solve for them? Is this shipment going to be, again, so what are the requirements like we discussed earlier? Cost, speed, visibility, compliance. What are they looking for? And then the last bit is repeatability. Is this going to be one-time shipment or is it going to be recurring shipment? So once you have an answer to these questions, it can take you away from rate-only conversation, because you will talk about how can you build relationship with the supplier, with your client, that they keep coming back to you, not just for the price point, but the service levels that you provide, the problem that you solve for them, or where they see the actual value of working with you. Then the rate becomes a secondary conversation. So this is a 4 different R's that you should ask before you submit a proposal to a client. So quickly moving forward, now what does a client really buy, right? Rate alone is not what they buy. Cheapest price is, it's a myth that we only buy on cheapest price. I might have a quotation from 3 different providers and I will look at the cost. But before I look at the cost, I will look at ease of doing business. What does the client provide to me? What does this supplier provide to me? I would look at multiple aspects before making a decision on the price. So clients like to buy less the price. Once I've awarded the job to you, what I'm expecting to get out is the outcome, right? So they buy, how confident am I in working with you? A client does not like a surprise. Once I've signed off and given you a purchase order, what I expect is I have the delivery. I don't expect straightforward to come back and tell me that, okay, we did not discuss 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So they would like to work with you based on the confidence you give them, based on the visibility you give them. How clearly can you communicate with them? And from a documentation perspective, is it clear? Is it accurate? Or am I have to spend time with you to provide you all the documentation, while when you gave me the proposal, you said we provide you end-to-end service. So how does your end-to-end service deliver after a purchase order is what is going to give me the confidence in working with you again. Yeah, I would look for reduced disruption. Once I understand from your proposal that once I've done this, my shipment will be picked up in 5 days, the transit time will be 60 days, and it will be door to door delivered to my premises within 100 days. Now, in the middle, if you come back and tell me I need more time, I will start losing confidence. So how quickly can you solve the problem? These are 6 different areas that client typically buys. It's not the rate, it's what you offer in your proposal, which a client is interested in. So question for all of you, what do your best clients value about you? Your current pitch does not say clearly. You obviously, you all have a lot of clientele. So I love to understand what is that one statement that your clients say about you in terms of value. Great. So what we see here is confidence, knowledgeable and good communication, trusted service levels to have trust and knowledge, patience and confidence. So what I'm seeing here, that a lot of your clients are saying that you understand what you're doing. We trust you. We want to keep coming back to you. My question to all of you is, your current pitch to any of your clients, does it incorporate this message? Because if most of your clients are saying this, that is the exact value proposition which sells in the market. Information flow, personal beyond digital. So there's a lot about relationship, visibility, how quickly are you able to solve the problem, how well you understand the entire domain. So by show of hands, can I just, if you can raise a hand and tell me how many of you are including this in your marketing pitch today? Great. Right. So now how do you translate operations into client value? So usually freight forwarders say that we are good agents. Do a lot of you say that we are good agents? We provide you with good service. We give you fast updates. We handle all the documentation. We offer door-to-door delivery. We are flexible. Are these some of the typical statements that you use when you speak to your clients? If yes, maybe if you shifted this a little bit and became more specific, right? What you could say is we provide reliable support at origin and destination port, right? It's a little shift in what you say today. Rather than saying we are good agents, we're saying we provide you with reliable support both at origin and destination. It's the same statement, but conveyed in a different manner. Then when you say we give fast updates, if you change that to say your team will not need to chase us, which means we are coming to you, that's a headache, that's a problem statement that, I've appointed a freight forwarder, but I need to constantly chase them for updates. So if that is your unique selling point, this is how you need to frame it, that your team will not need to chase us. You are solving a problem for them. Highlight that problem. Then when you say we handle documentation, great, but this translates into what is the roadblock that we normally see is that there is a delay in clearance if the documentation is not clear. So you can address that pain point saying there are fewer avoidable clearance delays when you work with us. Now that's a value a client would love to hear. And then we offer door to door. That can change into we're one accountable partner who takes care of end-to-end needs. And then the last one will be we're flexible, can change to we are a team that responds when plans change, right? So you need to change the value proposition from saying standard statements to something which touches a client's problem state. So the key idea here by changing the problems, by changing the statement is to showcase your service value, make it visible even before a buying decision is made. Me as a client should be thinking, I have to move a shipment, let's say from Dubai, and I need to move my goods to Spain. From moving it from point A to point B, potentially in the past, my challenges have been that due to documentation, I've always gotten stuck. But now, after conversation with you, if I understand that this is an area that you specialize in, I will definitely come to you and have a conversation to say, I have this. Will you be able to help me with this problem? So make sure that your value proposition is absolutely clear to your clientele. Instead of generically saying that we are good agents and we help end-to-end shipment or we provide support with air shipment and we do sea shipment. Instead of saying that, be very specific in what is your specific niche. Now, talking about marketing without heavy investments, you don't need to spend a lot of money in marketing. Like I said, you need to be very clear in how you position yourself. So in terms of what you could do, first of all, you need to define or pick a key niche area that you service, whether it's industry type, client type, cargo type, whatever you are the best at, and you are a niche player in that area. Define that for yourself. Clarify the message. So focus on what the problem at hand that you are particularly solving. And then you need to share useful insights into that particular domain. You need to put something out there which turns a client question into content, right? So we'll do a quick exercise to see how this would work. And you need to show proof points, right? You need to give testimonials, examples. These are the selling points that would work rather than investing a lot of money in doing big digital campaigns or, investing money in paid or targeted marketing. Before you do that, your messaging has to be absolutely clear. So let's try this. I'd like all of you again to put in the Slido. I'd like you to complete this sentence relevant to your business. So I'd like you to say that, if this was a statement defining your company, what would it be? So we help what kind of clients, move your particular niche, and what is the problem that you're solving, and what is your specific strength. So I'm going to open it here. If you can write down this particular statement, which helps me understand, or it helps me pick a business today to say, this is the business that I like to work with. So it could say, we help FMCG clients move their packaged meat with lesser time or with less pilferage, and with a specific strength that, we've serviced more than 100 clients in this area. For example, that's just an example I'm giving while you guys are thinking about your own businesses. We help clients manage their fiscal and physical supply chain. We help businesses move refrigerated air freight with less risk of delays and spoilage through accurate documentation and fast custom clearance. That's a good example. What could help you with this if you redefined when you say we help businesses? What kind of businesses? The more specific you are, there is a higher chance of you getting exposure with the right kind of clientele. We have food and pharmaceutical clients to move their cargoes with less transit time and multimodal means of transport through our agency network 24/7 with risk management strategy. Okay, that's great. We help local furniture wholesalers with guaranteed space and equipment availability for their FCL shipments from China during turbulent times. So whoever is put this, the only question I would ask you, it's a good statement, but when you say during turbulent times, for me, I will see that only when there is a disruption in the market, I will come to you. So for me, you're operational only during turbulent times. You might want to reword that specific bit. Okay, we help industrial services clients from Europe and Far East with less operational issues through safe handling and prompt attention. One more question here. When you say less operational issues, compared to what? So if there is an industry benchmark, what would be a good practice is for you to say that we help industrial services clients from Europe and Far East with 10% less operational issues compared to the industry benchmark of 40%, 30%. Because then you're defining, and it also helps me understand that you know your market, you understand what are the benchmarks in the market. So it might be relevant to make it very specific, because less operational issues could mean that if another provider has 100 operational issues, you're going to have 99. For me, that's not a benchmark. Okay, then we have different solutions suited for the vertical our clients is in. Example, we help fashion brands to consolidate their cargo from different suppliers from India and timely delivery to their destination. Okay, to their delivery center. There is a lot of different messages here. Maybe this could be simplified to say that we offer varied solutions for cargo consolidation within India or Asia, and we handle the bridge between the suppliers and the delivery center. So it needs to be more specific. You can reword this to make it very, very specific. We help forwarders move trust with less uncertainty through human contact and interaction. This is a very generic statement which can be presented by any forwarder. So if I were to ask you, what's your specific niche? I don't see that here. So you help forwarders move trust with less uncertainty. It doesn't tell me what you do. So you might want to reword this again in the format that what kind of clients do you help? What do you move? What is your specialization area? What problem do you solve? And what is your one biggest strength? I don't see that here. We help aircraft maintenance companies move aircraft parts and tools with less delays through 24/7 support and expertise. Great. Again, I'd give the same feedback. Define less delays. Less delays is a very generic term. Or if there is a specific kind of delay that working with you, I wouldn't face. Is it typically in this kind of industry? What is the typical delay? What causes the typical delay? Is it documentation? Is it some kind of HSE rules? What is the problem here that you're solving? What is causing the delay, and how would working with you solve that problem? So you need to think of that when you're creating your marketing messaging, because you need to remember your marketing message, your audience is living through those challenges. So if you want to make the most of it, if you want your potential client to read your message and say, this is exactly my problem, I need to pick up the phone and speak to them. You need to really spell out the problem statement that you're targeting. Right. So coming back to what we were discussing, selling value beyond price. So if a client tells you, now you've understood how to position your strength and the problem statement in your marketing, right? You've submitted a proposal which goes beyond pricing. If the client comes back to you and says, your rate is higher, can you match the other forwarder? What is a typical response that you would have? You would say, okay, what is the price difference? What kind of discount are you looking for? So I would say, instead of defending your price, you need to understand where is the buying decision coming from. So you need to clarify your comparison. What is included in the other rate? What kind of routing are they offering? What kind of local charges and update processes have they included? So this helps you understand where the comparison is coming from. Okay. And then you need to reframe the risk. So you need to go back and ask them, do you want the lower price or lower risk for this movement? What is it that's going to make your decision? That's how you can reconfigure your proposal to match your client's requirement. And you can always offer different options, because that helps your client think better on what problem they need to solve. Okay. So you can always go back and say, okay, let me show you the low cost route and low risk route. This will cost X and this will cost Y. Now you've given food for thought for a client to go away just from the price. You can say, okay, if I lower my price and reconfigure my route, the shipping time might go from 30 days to 120 days. Is that acceptable to you? So I can give you two proposals and you can choose. You can either go for the lowest, but with higher lead time. Now, if the problem statement that the client had that they want the goods to reach in 60 days, then definitely they will not go for the cheapest price. So it's for you to diagnose rather than just giving discounts, to understand and clarify what is it that the client is trying to achieve here. Yeah. So ask questions from your clients to understand their position better. Questions like, what has gone wrong before? Okay, try and understand their experience with past freight forwarders, or when they've moved goods before, what went wrong. This is always a good question to ask when you are submitting proposal to a client or you are in a diagnostic stage. Then you can ask, who needs updates internally? So when you're defining effort, a lot of you said, okay, human interaction, we provide updates, we're great at that. But who are you giving the updates to? Because that tells you how much effort is required. How many times will you need to give the update? Is it somebody junior in the team, or are you giving updates to the CEO or the senior management directly? Do you need to put somebody on the account who's a junior account representative, or do you need somebody senior if it's a big account, right? It helps you understand those things so that your price proposition matches the value proposition. The next question could be, what risk are you trying to avoid? I think this we've spoken in the last 15-20 minutes a lot. What is the risk that they're trying to mitigate? Remember, clients will always pay, they will always value something that solves their risk problems and their particular problem statement. So these are the things you need to really consider. Yeah. Again, it comes back to the shipment that you're moving. Is it price sensitive or business critical? Because if it's business critical and I need it delivered in 15 days, I don't care what the price is. I just need this to be done. So you need to, before you start offering discounts, really understand the intent of your customer. Okay, so let's pick this question. Do you have a target rate? Now, I have a question for all of you. If this question is asked and the client gives you a very low target rate, what would you do? Would you leave the deal and walk away and say, well, we can't do it at that price? So you might leave, or you might accept the target rate and do the business at a loss if the client is really important to you. But you really miss out if you don't understand why that is the target rate. Where is it coming from? So I would always suggest not to start with the question of target rate. You can ask this question, but that doesn't need to be your first question. Again, I can review the rate, but I won't compromise the service that protects your shipment. That's a great statement, but worded in a different way. You don't need to review your rate. You need to first understand, why are they asking you to provide a discount? The rate is higher based on what? So somebody said here, is our pricing being compared as apples to apples? Yes, that's absolutely what you need to understand. What is included in the other proposal compared to your proposal? That's the very first thing you need to understand. And if the client says it's an apple to apple proposal and they're asking you to give a discount, then you need to understand what is the price difference between you and the lowest pricing that they have, not the target pricing. Because I can be unrealistic and say, well, this shipment should not cost more than $2,000, whereas the minimum proposal they might have is $10,000. So before you talk about the target rate, you need to understand if you're compared apple to apple, and then the price difference between you and the cheapest competitor. That's what you need to understand. Asking for shipping line, service type, delivery deadline, is everything included as it is in my offer? Yeah, that would be a good question to ask. Simply ask the target rate or justify the rate quoted. See, like I said, you don't need to defend your rate, because you calculated your rate based on your understanding of what the client needs. So what I would recommend to frame it is that I understand my pricing is based on understanding of 1, 2, 3 parameters. I like to understand if those parameters have changed. That would be a question that I would put forward. Can we improve if you would confirm the volumes for the coming months? Again, so this comes from how well do you understand what your client needs? Is it a one-time requirement? If it's a one-time requirement, your statement will not hold good, because if there is no business in coming months, then you can't talk about improving rate based on that. We try to always offer two types of rates: budget and better service. If the customer asks for lower rate, we can expect the question whether the target price matches with will lead to nomination, or are you looking at a benchmark game? That's a good way of looking at it, but that's very direct. Sometimes clients may not like that. So you can have that conversation. The value proposition is clear. You have budget and you have service, better service. Stick to that and let them pick. But do understand and lead the customer towards the right option. If a client actually tells you that, this is a one-time need, it's a very urgent requirement, I really need to move in. And if you really want to retain this customer, maybe you should think about helping them with a better pricing and better service so they keep coming back to you. A benchmark game can easily change into winning the business if it's handled in the right way. Okay, moving along. So I think I've spoken a lot about how you should position yourself in terms of having a very clear marketing outcome. So if you're going to market your company, what do people need to know you as? So I'm just summarizing what we've discussed. 2, understanding the price game, understanding the value proposition of the client, asking the right 4 questions so that you can build your proposal towards it, and then how well can you defend your proposal once it's gone to the customer. On that note, I'd like to pause now and open the floor to see if you can use the Q&A section and put in some questions of what would you like me to answer, or if you have particular scenarios that you'd like us to cover today.
Enjoying the session. Now it's time for you to ask any specific wants, any specific issue that you faced in the past, and you want some advice or something that you could have done differently. I'll leave it to the floor.
Requirements. What would you like? Are you looking for rewording this? What's the problem statement? If you can help me clarify that. Is that your best rate? Okay, let's take that statement. Is that your best rate? I'd like to come back here. What is the client asking you for? They're asking you, they're not saying that, are you going to give me further discount? They're asking you, is this your best rate? So should you go back and ask them the 4 questions we discussed earlier? So what is the problem that they're trying? Why have they even requested this? Is that your best rate? If that is a statement you hear from your customer, the best way of addressing this is first to understand what is the customer asking for? What is the problem behind coming to you with this request? What risk did the client want to avoid? What value is invisible? So when we're talking about rate, we're only talking about price. So if I go back to the first conversation I had, how do you get out of the price game? How do you make it about value? So if I were to look at this, if somebody told me, is this your best rate? I would go back and say, thank you so much for that question. We created this proposal based on our understanding that you are looking to move aircraft parts from Belgium to, let's say, India. I'm just taking an example. And you want these parts to be delivered within 30 days. The core message we understand is 30 days timeline cannot be moved. Our proposal is based on managing that risk for you. Please let us know if something has changed in this situation. So now you've gone back to the customer and you've reframed the question and given it back to them, put it on their table or on their plate to tell you what are they expecting. Because when somebody says, is this your best offer? It's a very open-ended statement. So when you go back and ask a question in that manner, what is the risk? Has the risk position changed? Is 30 days no longer the need? Because if it's gone from 30 days to 60 days, definitely I can go back and rework on my pricing. So this is how I would answer, is that your best rate question? Any other questions? It would be good for you to pause for a minute and think that, what situations did we face with our clients which we felt was very difficult to resolve, or one of the clients which give you a lot of headache. Put that statement here and let's see how we can solve that statement. We've matched the customer's target rate, but they just confirmed the order to another forwarder, and the same situation repeated for several times before. In this scenario, if the order went to someone else, I would go back and tell the client that thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to bid for this. Since we matched the requirement and we matched the rates that you asked for, we would highly appreciate you giving us a feedback of why we did not win the bid. See, this is the exact reason we did this whole session, because if you meet a client's target rate, what makes you think that somebody else will not meet that rate as well? You need to come out of the price game. Definitely this client is not awarding it to another forwarder based on just the price. It is the value proposition. It could be the confidence level. Remember, I showed you the 6 different things that clients look for. They don't like surprises. So is it confidence in you? Is it reliability? Is it the value proposition? So what is the value proposition? Maybe your value proposition was not really visible in your proposal. So I would definitely say that you need to ask feedback from your customer to say, we would love to understand where did we fall short. Your rate is not the best in the market, definitely, but my service is the best in the market. Do they see the best service in the market? Are you able to showcase that? So when you design your marketing, when you're very clear in what is the problem you're solving, rather than competing in a generic manner with hundreds of other forwarders, if you have a niche, this is why we did the activity for you to understand. You need to have a niche that if for this problem, I will go to this freight forwarder. Pricing is secondary conversation. That is where you need to get with your marketing and communicating that effectively. If a client keeps requesting rates but never confirms or gives feedback, at what point do you stop quoting? After all, this can agreed. You need to define that there are two things in this, right? First of all, the client that you're quoting for. How important is that client for your business? If it's a very large client, and if one order from this client can change the revenue stream that comes for you, I wouldn't recommend giving up. I would just recommend rechanging your value proposition. Maybe don't go to them when they're asking for a bid. Try and showcase to them. Try and showcase them what is your specialization. Why should they try and work with you on one particular shipment? Just to give you an opportunity to showcase what you can do. Could be a different way of looking at it. Well, if it's a medium or a smaller size client where you feel the revenue stream is not bigger, at some point you should communicate with the client that, we've bid a lot of times without winning the business. We would appreciate if you tell us where are we lacking, or we would appreciate if you remove us from your list and we would not like to bid forward. But be clear so the client understands your side of the story as well. See, if you treat a client like a client instead of being their partner, they will always see you as a supplier and not as a partner. So it's up to you how you position yourself with your clients. The wider conversation about more than price assumes a free conversation. With more digital contacts, even emails, there is no initiation of these contacts. Again, if we go back to the marketing discussion that we had, once you're clear with your proposition and when you the kind of content that you put out, right? If you're sharing testimonials from your clients who are happy with you, because a lot of you put really good words when I asked you, what do your clients praise you for? So confidence, trust, put it out there. That is a message that will get you these free conversations or more conversations with potential clients. If tomorrow I am on LinkedIn or any social platform and I see your company name pop up with a message from your other clients saying that, I am in aerospace and, this is the perfect partner who's made sure that our shipments have never been delayed or parts have never been damaged. When they put a message like that, people would want to talk to you. So it's how you position yourself. Again, I also put it in a 80-20 bucket. You are not going to be able to convert every client. Not every client would want to work with you. You might not be fit for every client as well. So as long as you are able to tap into 80% of the conversations with a specific audience, your conversion rate would definitely be higher. Again, I would say from all of these questions that you're putting, we're still talking only about the best rate. We're only talking about we didn't win the business. We're continuously bidding. So it's for you to reflect and understand, if you didn't win the business, why did the client not award to you? This is a very important statement for you to understand, because that will help you reconfigure your marketing message, your value proposition. So if you're saying we service all business, all importers, that's a very generic statement, which means you're targeting millions of people, millions of companies, and then you're hoping that maybe 1 or 2% will tap in. Why not be very specific on what you want and target those companies first? Build credible testimonials, which can then help other people come to you rather than you going after them. Your win rate, your win percentage will automatically increase based on that. The message that I would leave you with is really think about your value proposition. You do need to understand there are many other freight forwarders in the market. So what makes you stand out? I would leave you with that thought. So if we talk about next 30 days, I would say focus on rewriting your company pitch around client problem. And a good way of doing this would be that, talk to your top 5 clients, speak to them. They're already your clients. You already have a relationship. Try and understand from them, what are their typical challenges with shipments. That will help you understand a specific market. So reconfigure your company pitch in the next week around the specific problems that you solve in a specific niche area and with a specific strength that you have. Because when you have this message clearly, That's when you go away from the price conversation. Second week, you should look at in your sales process, incorporate the 4R questions that we discussed earlier. So Mr. Jamil, I'm happy to share these slides so that members can look at it and use the methodology and the tools that we discussed today. You can use the 4R questions and make sure you are incorporating that in your sales process when you're working with your clients, with your potential clients. Then in the week 3, create one proof point to a specific sector with a specific example and the response statement or the standards that you've actually met. So if your marketing pitch is we help move parts for airlines, so airlines are your clients, give me one testimonial from one of the customers that you work with who can vouch for what you've delivered. Add specific data dimension to it. So somebody said we do it with less operational delays. Define less operational detail as a matrix that you've actually met. Compare it to the industry standards. That is when a customer will come to you. So build a proof point for you that you can actually use to market yourself, whether that's in a conversation with a potential client, whether it's on a social platform, or it's on your website. So this needs to be very clear. Why should I come to you? Why should I want to work with you? And then the last one will be share one useful client insight every week. So this is a good marketing practice rather than saying that we move air cargo or we do sea shipments. Instead of saying that as your marketing message, build a useful insight for your client every week. So if I am somebody, I'm a buyer of moving goods from my country to another on a regular basis, I am your potential client. Yeah, I'm the audience for you. What is that one matrix you can share with me? With so much disruption in the market at the moment, you can talk about is there a difference or is there a lower demurrage rates? Is there a change in regulation? You can start sharing insights like this, which will be useful for your clients to make a decision. And that helps me validate that you actually understand your industry well. You're not just a provider, but you're very knowledgeable of what's happening in the market. And you're willing to share that information with me. That's when I would want to work with you. So this is a 30-day plan that I would leave with you that you can work on and see if this makes a difference for you. Yeah. And last but not the least, the goal is not to stop being competitive on price, but it's to stop being judged only in the price. So that should be your takeaway, that change your conversation from price to value. Let a customer not ask you, give you a target price, and when you meet it, they don't give you the business. How can you change that narrative for yourself? That should be the goal. So that's the end of our session today. Mr. Jamil, I'll push it back to you if there are any final thoughts or if you want to open the floor for any comments.
Thank you very much, Vidya, for the nice chat. I mean, 1 hour went by very quickly. We haven't seen sessions like this before where it was an interactive session with a lot of information, a lot of valuable information for the forwarders. For all of you who attended, thank you very, very much. We will make a short presentation, which Vidya will provide, and we will send you each. Please give us your feedback and how you found the session. Would you like to have more such sessions? Would you like Vidya to come to Manila and have a session? Do you find it useful? We look forward to your replies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for participating today. It's been wonderful for me to interact with all of you.
Wonderful. I will just add that if you do have other people in your team who'd like to meet up with us later on, we'll be meeting again as usual for our afternoon, as far as we're concerned, in European times. We're keeping video up a little bit late, and so that will be at 5 p.m. Barcelona time. If you'd like to pass the 7 p.m. in Dubai time. So that will be with a few more Americans involved, I'm guessing. So certainly come along to that meeting or invite the people to do the same in that case.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.